Defying gravity.
You're listening to a mostly harmless cutaway.
Mostly harmless. Mostly harmless? Oh, come. I think that's pretty good coverage for a disintegrated pile of rubble.
This is Eric.
This is Josh.
And this is Sean.
And welcome back. It's Doctor Who, Mostly Harmless Cutaway, episode 191. And guess what? Tonight, today, whenever you listen to this, you are going to get a twofer.
I mean, not really. I mean, it's kind of the same story.
Yeah, it's the same story.
Doesn't matter. Every episode and story of Doctor Who is the same story, just with a different desktop.
Except, much to our chagrin, we could have done it the whole of Doctor Who in one episode and just called it a day.
Yeah, the whole entire series,
yeah.
Including future series that haven't even aired.
Exactly.
If they ever will.
And by the way, there's no question mark on this particular MHC. It's just a normal 191 or whatever the hell it was, right?
A solid 191.
Maybe we'll get to 200 soon.
Maybe we recently finally hit episode 40 on Prognosis Negative. I know there's 200 things on the feed, but we hit episode 40. A nice reunion episode for that podcast. Go listen to that. I'm sure it's out now.
We'll get there during the fight between the land and the sea or whatever. And by the way, I'm not doing that, just so you know.
I'm not doing that either. I'm just saying that right now. I'm not doing it. Don't ask.
I'm not doing it either.
Just reminds me of Miracle Day, and I just...
Yeah, you know what? Actually, Miracle Day will feel like it's great television compared to the Land and the Sea thing. I can guarantee you.
What is the Land and the Sea thing?
So there's a Doctor Whoverse spin-off that's been already filmed.
It's out already?
It's not out yet,
okay.
but it's not even like... The thing is, it's not even like, hey, this is from the world of Doctor Who right now. It's almost separate completely. And it's going to involve the Sea Devils. And by the way, a reimagining of the Sea Devils.
Great.
Sea Devils and Unit and stuff like that. So it's like Torchwood meets, some 1972 Doctor Who episode. And I don't know how many episodes it is, 5, 6, 8, whatever it is.
Is it supposed to be in the Doctor Who universe, or is it like K9 and Company?
Well, it's got Doctor Who-like characters.
What do you mean? Which character? Is Kate, I think?
Yeah, Kate's in it. And
okay.
Yeah, like Unit's in it. So, yeah, there's Doctor Who people in it.
I'll have to recruit another time team.
You will.
Discuss that with them.
You will. Maybe Caleb will watch it, because I don't know if Murray Gold's doing it.
Oh,
so.
I'm sure Caleb's chomping at the bit to get on that. All right. Well, our twofer will include Wish World and the Reality War. All right. So I'm expecting a chunky episode because I know you gents have a lot to say. I'm assuming that means you both really enjoyed this two-parter and finale.
Sean, why don't you go first? You always, you always get me going. So
yeah.
That's what she said.
I'm going to mention also that this is probably going to be my last recording of Current Who ever, assuming they continue with the show in 2 years or whatever it's supposed to be. So I was kind of looking forward to watching this. And I was supremely disappointed because this story is shit. I'm just going to start right there. It's shit. There's not very many good things. I mean, it's the same RTD shit all over again. Let's bookend a season with some incomprehensible story and end it with a big how do you do where we'll throw at the kitchen sink and everything at the wall and see what sticks. Unfortunately, there's a lot of stuff here and not a lot of it sticks. And it's a shame because it starts out pretty cool. Where we have the Doctor and Belinda waking up and they have a daughter named Poppy, but hey, Poppy. It's the girl from Space Babies.
Okay, in the second episode.
Okay, that's an intriguing mystery. But I knew it. I knew going in that it was just going to be a mess. And it was a mess. What a waste. It's a waste. What a waste of Omega. What a waste of the Ronnie. She was given a lot to do without really doing anything. I was watching it with Eric for a little bit, and I was like, are they going to explain this? Kind of. Yeah, but they need to explain it. This doesn't make any sense. What are those dinosaur things? Eric's like, I think I can explain that. There shouldn't be any kind of I think in that at all. I think that in order for this to be a good story, you should be able to say, yes, I can explain that. But if you do try to explain it logically, it's either not going to make sense or it's just going to sound dumb, I think it can all be summarized for me nicely with, what's her name, Shirley?
Yeah.
When she all of a sudden out of nowhere, her little wheelchair takes off and it's actually a rocket.
It's Back to the Future.
So dumb. Yeah. So those are my opening thoughts. I did not like this episode at all. Story. I'm sorry, because it's 2 episodes. I didn't like the story at all.
Yeah. So
before Josh goes, I want to say a little inside baseball. So unfortunately, me and Sean are in separate rooms because we weren't expecting a delay issue to occur. But until that sequence that Sean just laid out, I could hear him yelling so loud during that sequence from far, far away. I couldn't hear him before. Sean was shouting.
I can't even tell you. I can't even tell you right now what this episode is about. I'm watching it right in front of me. Belinda, Ruby, the doctor, and Poppy are in the TARDIS. There's a crib there. They're explaining what's happening, and it doesn't make any sense. I will say a couple nice things. I will say I did like the part with Jodie Whittaker. I really did like that. I thought she was really great.
Actually, it was Jodie's best performance as the Doctor.
But I think that might be true. But
I'm telling you right now, I thought Jodie's Doctor in this was much more doctorish than Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor. I thought she actually, it's so funny because literally I think it's her best performance.
And the two of them play off each other nicely. And I liked that. I was like, I could watch a story with these two, bopping around the universe. I'd 2 Doctors Part 2 or whatever you want to call it. I'd totally watch that because they're like the Gen Z doctors. They're like the nice doctors that us old grumpy fans don't seem to like very much. I'm just speaking very generally, but yeah, that's my 2 cents. Mostly what I think of this.
All right. I'm just going to tear this thing apart here. So, do you guys remember the Invasion of Time? The Tom Baker story?
Yes.
Do you guys know the story behind Invasion of Time?
I've heard it before, but I couldn't tell you right now with a gun to my head.
All right. Basically, what happened is that they had some other story that they wanted to do, and they realized they couldn't do it, but they were way too late. So what they did was like Graham Williams and Douglas Adams got together, and between whiskey and coffee, put together in a weekend a Doctor Who story. Okay? Thus became Invasion of Time. Okay? I think Invasion of Time was better conceived than this one. Across the board. Okay? Better conceived, better thought through. But I think that it's just possible, based on what I've heard, that the ending to this, where Ncuti is regenerating, wasn't the original thing. He wasn't going to regenerate at the end of this.
Right. I didn't realize this until later.
RTD had to literally rewrite the last 30 minutes of this, okay? And it's so clear and obvious that he had to rewrite it. It was jarring how different the first part from the second part was. I mean, not Wish World from Reality War, but Reality War from Reality War. Okay? Okay. Mm-hmm. So let's start with Wish World. Why is the Doctor there in the first place? Like, if the Ronnie wanted the Doctor's help on this, why not just get the Doctor's help and not do this weird thing with all... Like, it's just unnecessary. Like, giving him the baby and all this other stuff. It's just done performatively. For no reason at all. For no reason.
Oh, can you imagine RTD doing something like that? It's amazing, isn't it? So weird.
It's just to put the space baby in there. You know? And then the space baby becomes the whole story, right? The entire story was about the stupid space, about babies. One baby that inexplicably, beyond seventh son of seventh son. What are we talking about here? The Princess of Atrios? I mean, seventh son of a seventh son is the wish god, and all you have to do is kiss it, and then you blow, and you can turn somebody into Rosebud. Where did all that shit come from? All right.
The thing that I read is that instead of using that baby, it was actually going to be Ruby.
That's what I read too.
He told her last season that she's a coincidence, and that Bavarian family, their last name in German is the German word for coincidence. I can't remember what the name is. Also,
that would have been much more interesting.
The Ronnie, when she goes and gets the baby, she's wearing that kind of like Little Red Riding Hood cloak thing. She's wearing it again,
right? Which is what the mother was wearing.
Yeah,
right.
She wears it again later on in the story.
They don't connect that. Like they don't connect. That would have been great. I'm going to skip around a little bit here. The Susan thing wasn't paid off.
No.
You know, we never got payoff for Susan.
Nope.
I thought that they were going to like make Poppy her mother or something like that. That would have been interesting. But no. That doesn't get paid off. The new Ronnie, who I kind of liked, she gets eaten by the Omega Skull Monster, which is just, some creature from hell or something. Like, they bastardized what Omega had been throughout the entire show and made it into some CGI monster.
Mm-hmm.
And then, guys, they dispatched him within minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh my God, we're bringing in Omega. Oh, I'll use my Vindicator, the power of 20 million suns or whatever. And he banished him in 2 seconds. Like, that was over.
Before he eats the Ronnie. So we got this character, and then she just gets eaten.
Just gets eaten. Just so stupid. Like, why even bring in Omega to begin with? Why bother? By the way, it's Omega, and it was pronounced 20 different ways throughout the whole show. We're talking about, like, Metabolus 3 instead of Metabolus 3 times 14, okay? The director never corrected anybody. So it was just gross. Ruby's hair go back and watch this and just focus on Ruby's hair. Changes 35 times throughout the whole show, as if this thing has been shot in over a 20-week period, okay? Just, it looks shoddy, all right? What else? What else can I do here? The magic door. Now, one of the things you don't want to do in Doctor Who is point out things that the audience is going to think. Number one, saying we found a magic door. Jesus. And then we get, I'm going to give you exposition right now. Literally, she said that. She said, I'm about to give you some exposition. Like, really? Are you going to do that? I mean, that... Anyway. What else? The Ncuti doctor, when she was going to pull Omega out, he's like, yeah, let's go see Omega. Like, why? Like, what happened there? Like, there's no motivation there. What's his motivation? To get him out? I didn't understand that. The Mrs. Flood thing didn't pay off either. I figured that Mrs. Flood would, eventually, like, hate the fact that she had to look up to her, her Ronnie, and that never paid off. The whole make me a sandwich thing never paid off. Belinda. So we've completely rewritten Belinda, obviously, where she's now a single mother.
Yeah.
Okay. That was done at the last minute. That was not the way they were going to go with this.
I would not have been happy if I was Belinda. If I was the actress, I would not have been happy what they did with my character.
It was such a, I don't love Belinda, but it's so disrespectful to her character to have done that. It's gross.
It is.
And
it is.
And then, And then we have the baby, so Poppy, and as I mentioned before, they said Poppy 56, 58 times or whatever, and it's just the most annoying name on the planet. Couldn't stand hearing the name again. And suddenly we're like, we have to save Poppy's life. It's like, well, Poppy was out of space babies. Like, why did Poppy show? We don't know why Poppy showed up in the story in the engine. I have no idea why.
That's interesting because if bits and pieces of his memory, if they had different characters from the last 2 seasons, and they do, but it's mostly just unit characters they're always in it anyway. But for instance, when we meet Shirley and she's in that, Ruby meets Shirley and they meet up in that, whatever you call it, the homeless
The shanty town, if you will.
The shanty town. That's the what I was looking for. Hooverville.
Yeah.
I thought I had to stop because there's the one girl who's deaf. And I thought, because she's deaf, I have to admit, I thought that she was the same character from The Well.
Oh, yeah?
And I thought that they were cherry picking, plucking people out of different stories and putting them in this story. I think that would have been neat.
Oh, how about this, Sean? How about this? The new Ronnie says, how come you didn't know he went to wherever? And she's like, well, I took Christmas off. It's like, what?
Huh?
What?
Sweetie, you've taken the past 30 years off. More than that.
Oh my God. It's terrible. It's so awful. Like it just, everything about this was, and the last literally 30 minutes of the episode was this get Poppy back thing that ended up in his regeneration. And like, it was just so boring. Like I almost fell asleep during that 30 minutes. It was 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
The last 30 minutes of this thing. And then, and then the Billy Piper thing, which is stunt casting. And there's never been any discussion with Billy Piper about taking over as the 16th Doctor. Like, it's just something so Russell he probably doesn't even know what he's going to do with her yet. And she agreed to do it because, she loves Russell, and that's it. That's all we know. I mean, and everybody pointed out the fact that it said introducing Billy Piper, but not as the Doctor. Like, all that was pointed out. Bless you. So, I mean, those, again, I know my thoughts are all fragmented, but like,
so is this episode.
The reason they're fragmented is because the story was so fucking fragmented.
Yeah.
All right, I think I've said enough for now. I wanted to get all of those things out. The Poppy thing drove me nuts. I don't give a fuck about Poppy. I'm sorry.
No, I don't either. I hate babies.
Well, besides that, like, it was just like this all baby centric thing. I didn't even get to Conrad yet. Like Conrad's character and how it changed. Sorry, there is one more thing I want to say. Conrad's character changed 1,000%. He's like 180 from the character he was in Lucky Day. Like, he was this strong guy who led a bunch of people, and he ran that podcast, and he was the boss, and he figured out how to get to Ruby and stuff like that. And suddenly in this episode, he's like subservient to the Ronnie. Mm-hmm. And there's no explanation.
It would have been really cool. And I don't remember if I had this conversation with you guys or Doctor Who Gives a Fuck, but I thought that Conrad was going to be like the Ronnie's companion. They do that a lot. I know in the books and the audio where they'll have a female Time Lord. They'll pair her up with a male companion. They didn't do that. If you want to explain, if someone cares to explain to me exactly what Conrad does in this story, that would be nice. But it's not going to make me like the story anymore. I've given up. I've given up on Russell T Davies and I've given up on Doctor Who. This story is the one that broke me. Maybe in 2 years or whenever the show comes back, my appetite will have returned. But
wait a minute, Sean. So before you go there, I found one more thing. Sorry, Eric. One more thing. This is all coming to me. Okay, so apparently what happened is that May 23rd keeps getting played over and over and over again, but the Time Hotel still exists.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how is the Time Hotel still existing? Number one. Number two, Anita's role in this thing was to hold the door open. That was her entire role in this whole thing. Anita, hold the door open. and make some statement about how you work in a hotel. That is all.
And be pregnant.
And be pregnant by Ricardo, the HR guy. What the fuck, dude?
I thought that there was an Easter egg in there because did you notice that later on, once Poppy becomes Belinda's actual daughter, she says that the father is Ricky. Is it Ricky or Richie? And I'm like, oh, like Ricardo. Oh, but that doesn't.
Richie. It was Richie. It was. I think it was Richie. Yeah, but it doesn't matter. You know what?
It's
you might be right. You might be right, but the fact that she's pregnant means absolutely nothing in this story.
Yeah, I do like what he says though. Oh, someone else is glad to see you too. That was kind of funny.
But how about this? How about this? Like, in the year that she spent with the doctor back in the Christmas episode, she didn't realize that he liked men. Like she didn't realize that. She didn't get that.
That she liked men? I didn't remember that.
No. That the doctor liked men.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So when she visited him with Rogue, she's like, oh, now I get it.
That was nicely done. That without having to over-explain it, you know?
I don't think it was necessary because if you know somebody for a year and you don't realize what gender they prefer.
Oh, this is true. Yeah, this is true.
That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, you can't really get to know somebody.
No. I mean, so, like, okay. All right, I think I'm done for now.
Plus, you don't have to be Anne Rice to figure out that the doctor is gay. I mean, come on.
Yeah, you don't really have... I mean, it's pretty fucking obvious out there.
Yeah, to quote Karen from Will and Grace, Jack, headless people can tell you're gay.
Yeah, exactly. This guy couldn't be more queer. It's like right out there. Anyway. So yeah, Anita got to hold the door open. That was her job. Great bringing him that character back. So you can't use a fucking doorstop. You know what I mean? Like just put a little cornbread under the door. Anyway, all right. I think I've done enough. I'm sure I'll think of something else. But those are all the things that. Anyway, you're right. Jodie was great. That's the. Jodie was the best doctor Jodie had ever been. And she hasn't been with the show for 2 years.
It's really sad. I feel so bad for her. That's sad.
Like that just shows that like how bad Chris Chibnall was in writing her. You know? Anyway. All right. So I guess we'll let Eric talk now.
I do wonder if RTD kind of knew that going in, but well, anyway, go ahead.
I don't really have anything to say about this episode. You guys have said it all.
I thought you liked it.
Why? A serious question.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is, by the way, I do want to point out that Eric is drinking. I am not, by the way. This is a first in podcast history.
Yep. This is not going to be like Pirate Planet Part 4, right? Is he going to go up an octave?
What? No, that was a serious question. What made you think I liked it?
Well, no. I mean, just forget I asked and just tell us your thoughts.
Well, my initial thought listening to you guys was you guys are much bigger Doctor Who fans than me.
I don't think so, but whatever.
I'll accept that.
Maybe in some cases.
I'll accept that.
Well, as it pertains to this conversation and these episodes, specifically.
I don't know why you would come up with that, with basically how we're ripping the writing of this episode and the concept. Because this could have been really good had they involved Ruby and made Ruby a thing. And like, guys, check out YouTube and go to a guy named Paul Magers, or what's his name?
Mars.
Yeah.
Magrs.
Yeah, that's it. Go to YouTube and go look him up because he has a much better idea for this story that would have worked great. And it involves more Ruby stuff and, like he just absolutely, I mean, the way and again, he's a writer, like he's a legit Doctor Who writer. And he came up with a much better idea in minutes for this story.
And the fact that he's putting that out there, because I'm pretty sure he and RTD are old friends. Mm-hmm. The fact that he put it out there without having to worry about what his friend that made the show is going to say is interesting.
Did you see this, Sean?
Paul Mars video?
Yeah.
No, I just heard about it now.
Oh, okay. All right. You should check it out, man. You should check it out.
I will definitely check it out. He's a good writer too. Don't ask me what the hell he wrote. I'm so sorry.
No. But everything I've heard, mostly Big Finish stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. Books. I've read his books.
And books. Yeah. So he's done some really good stuff, and his idea for this would have been so much freaking better. It's so scary. And you know what? We don't even know what RTD's original story was because he had to obviously rewrite this thing when Ncuti left. Anyway, Eric.
Yeah, this would excuse me, this would make for a great DVD commentary.
Yeah,
if they're going to talk,
and like the story behind the story, kind of a writer's tale thing about what happened with this. I hope we learn, because it's so clear that they had to reshuffle the deck at the end. Oh, can I say one more thing? It just came to my mind.
Go ahead, Columbo.
The whole unit thing when they were fighting the bone monsters, like it seems so forced. Like, first of all, if they're made out of bones, you should be able to take them out with their little gun there, like in seconds. Like,
it's magic.
And then the doctor like rides through the stupid dinosaurs and stuff like that. Like, that was so, like, why did he take that route under the bridge? Like, I mean, it's just, oh god, just to show the CGI. It was done that way. Just had nothing to do with like getting there the fastest way. Oh god.
It's like, you know what I really like? I really like that scene from The Rings of Akatan where Matt Smith goes on his space scooter. Remember that? That's what that reminded me of.
Yeah, I've blocked out The Rings of Akatan for very many reasons, but
that was cool.
Anyway, I love the singing in that. That's my favorite part. Anyway, Eric, you haven't said much, and if I keep thinking about this, I'm going to think of more things I hated.
Well, you guys are so jazzed. I don't want to get in the way. I'm here to facilitate. The reason I said I think you guys are bigger fans is because I mentioned before on an earlier episode we recorded this season that, you know, since the Chibnall years, I have this natural self-defense mechanism that lets most of the qualms that you guys raise, which are legitimate, but they mostly roll off my back. I mean, I recognize them. I'm not saying I like them when I sense some of the things that you brought up, but I just have this, like, I mentioned it before, like, the simplest way I can explain it, even though I don't think it's the most accurate, is to say that I'm kind of dead inside when it comes to that kind of stuff. But that's a sloppy way of saying it, because if you take that literally, that's not true. But anyway, so I recognize most all the things you guys brought up, but that was neither here nor there for the most part when I was just evaluating the episodes as a whole. Where to begin? So for me, despite all those things being there, I was just more focused on, you know, what is RTD trying to say, not just with the story directly and the happenings, but I'm glad I got a little bit of a second rewatch, because at least it helped me kind of sort through that in my own head in a way that I couldn't the first time. And right off the bat, you know, I really disliked part one immensely on its own. Part two wasn't great, but I don't know if enjoyable is the right word. It was much easier to watch the second part than the first for me. But what I noticed on second rewatch is that, because RTD definitely wrote these two seasons, you know, as discussed previously, like it's two parts of a whole arc. That seems very clear with the themes being thrown around. And I suspect a certain amount of the grievances Josh raised and Sean, I suspect the way this season is ending, even casting aside the unexpected rewrites and, you know, eventual recasting, etc. I really think, though, that we're ending season 2 like season 1, that it's not just 2 seasons that make up 1, it's potentially 3 seasons that make up 1. And I don't think that was anything to do with the unexpected recasting, etc. I suspect that was probably the plan all along, even if they did retool some things to accommodate reality with the actor and everything. I think, because I think by design the whole like Susan thing is supposed to leave us wondering. I didn't think this until I was listening to you guys. That's the next thing I'm gonna say, but I really don't think we've seen the last of Omega. I don't think we've seen the last of the new Ronnie. And I think this was gonna be the way it was gonna be.
The new Ronnie, you got
Even
eaten.
right. I just don't think we've seen the last of her at all. And I think this was probably the intent before Ncuti Gatwa ever decided to leave or anything like that. I don't have definitive evidence or whatnot. This is more of a hunch, but that's just what it feels like to me. Was always the game plan, was to leave these unanswered questions. Real quick to address, what's the future. I haven't read into this, but I did listen to a bit of an RTD interview that came out around the time this aired. And if he's to be relieved, put an asterisk on that. But according to him, without a doubt, there's going to be at the very least a third season. But the soonest it would possibly appear would be, approximately 2 years. The big question, though, is whether it will be funded by and appears on Disney, or if it'll just be like a traditional, just made in the UK without
BBC, just the BBC funding it.
Yeah, exactly. Without Disney money, Disney involvement.
I think it's going to be longer, by the way. And the reason I say it's going to be longer is because I think they're going to try to find another streaming partner first.
Oh yeah,
before they decide to go just BBC, I think they're going to try to get Netflix or Max or one of those.
Yeah, absolutely, of course. I mean, that would only make sense, but that's to be assumed. So, and supposedly the reason he gave as to why it can't be sooner than 2 years, besides what Josh, I mean, he didn't say what Josh said, obviously, but according to him, it's because, according to him, all season 3 is practically already written and ready to go. It's a matter of knowing how much money they have to work with, because if they have Disney money, or I guess another streamer, then it'll be produced in 4K. And if they don't and they go it alone, then it won't be in 4K. Because it all comes down to the money for doing the CGI in 4K versus HD. Yada,
That's what I heard too.
Right. Well, that's what he said in the interview.
Yeah, basically Disney is the 4K aspect.
Right.
Scenario.
Or another, sponsor, potentially.
Right, exactly. That's what I heard too, that, they basically will be able to make Doctor Who, even if it was just the BBC.
Right.
But it just won't look as spiffy as it looks now.
Right. So anyway, I just want to put that out there for people who are in Sean's camp who are just like, what? No way. Like it's dead. Like the show is dead. Or on hiatus or something. Well, it is on hiatus technically, but anyway, whatever. I got that out of the way. So, I liked the part I liked the most out of both episodes combined was, I guess, the last minute rewrite, last 30, 20 minutes of the second story. Whenever I see something like that in a Doctor Who episode, especially RTD, I always wonder why can't that just be the whole episode? I mean, not just stuck with like time crash for 1 hour. That's not what I'm saying. But I mean, that level of keeping me, engaged, locked in, caring about what people are saying, what characters are saying. Yeah, for the most part, in general, this 2-parter, it feels like other RTD finales, which originally I was going to say I never liked any of them, but that's not true. At the time that they came out and aired, I liked kind of all 4. I'm counting 5, I guess, if you count the 4 RTD seasons and the special season Regeneration. I enjoyed them at the time that they aired, but going back in hindsight, I kind of only really enjoyed the first 3 finales. And even then, because they're not necessarily better than this, what we just saw, it's the reason I like those 3 and not so much the others is because of the seasons that preceded those finales, more investment with the characters and the arcs they had been on, and like just really being engaged with who the companions and the doctors were back then. That's the only reason why, in hindsight, I still guess I kind of like the first 3, but they're all kind of the same. The difference here is I don't feel that connected to any of the regulars, the companions, the unit people. I really like the shooty doctor, but as much as I like him, he didn't make the impact on me that Eccleston did in one season. So to me, everything's kind of the same except lacking connection to all our characters in this current iteration. Okay, so now I got that out of the way. What I was trying to figure out about this Wish World, I know none of it really makes sense. In a not even in a quasi scientific sci-fi kind of way, like as both of you said, like what is this scheme that the Ronnie is doing? What's with these skeletons? I mean, I could talk about that, but I mean, it's like kind of irrelevant. I mean, even to try to explain those things. So, I just let that go. But again, I said there was definitely a common theme throughout RTD's return. And I've been trying to sort it out going back to Space Babies, because I remember at the time when we discussed it, everyone else hates that episode. I know, I get it. And I'm not saying I love it, but I just don't hate it as much as everyone else. And something I brought up when we recorded on that episode specifically that I remember, because I was playing the same game of trying to figure out the agenda of the episode, and I found it very confusing then, a little less confusing now, which was I was trying to figure out, like, just talking about Space Babies, it seemed at first to be like at first my thought was like, oh, this is like very, pro-choice, type of perspective. But then by the end of the episode, I was so confused because it felt pro-life, and I couldn't wrap my head around where RTD was trying to go back then. After seeing this, it sort of makes more sense. Not completely, but it does. So the idea of this 2-part story. So the idea is, and it's sort of been, like I said, it's been carried since RTD returned. You have all different kinds of people in the universe and Earth who don't conform to traditional ways of living, traditional culture, traditional boundaries, traditional expectations. So you have a character who's trans, you have disabled characters of all different types, all different types of ethnicities, other countries, all these people who don't fit into societal norms, quote unquote. And what's his name? Conrad?
Mm-hmm.
As we saw from Lucky Day, he's supposed to be, he's like the embodiment of the bad. In conservative circles, they say things like the message, and they're talking about like wokeness or DEI politics. But this is like the flip of that. This would be like in some imaginary liberal progressive circles saying the message, meaning the opposite side, like the MAGA message or the traditional message or the conservative message. So Conrad is already like a cartoon character of that in Lucky Day. And in this, let's see, I'm trying to just distill this down to the essence, and because I'm trying to figure out what RTD's thinking here. So now in this, you're right, Conrad's completely different because the Ronnie, she's using him in her scheme, but it's not just she's allowing the cartoon baddie carrying the opposing message. She's allowing him to have everything his way. Like, let's make the world the way you want it. And that's what this Wish World is. It's if people like Conrad in Doctor Who could run everything, obviously, saying what would happen if in the real world that type of movement was in charge of everything. And then as you see in the first episode, it's just so restrictive. And none of these people who are alternative, different lifestyles or cultures, none of them are allowed to be who they really are, because the Conrad thinking has taken over completely. And you see they're all suppressed. Every single one of them, every single character and side character who's sort of been on the good side since RTD came back, they're all repressed, they're all constrained, etc., etc., etc. And so obviously the Doctor has to undo that.
Even Mel, who complained about it being a housewife, even though she didn't have a husband.
Yes, that
right.
Weird.
I was a housewife. Well, wait a minute, you're not married,
right?
Like, what the hell?
So okay, I get that, RTD. That's your broad play that he's been doing since he returned. And then upon rewatch, I found it very curious, the whole part about how they're sterile, the Time Lords now. And, okay, this sounds like RTD's talking about non-hetero couples who can't procreate in a traditional biological way, right? Okay, so he's making that connection. And so I think he's trying to say, through the story, that even though a non-traditional, non-hetero couple can't procreate in the traditional way, but what if their wish came true and they were able to have a progeny of sorts, even if it was just a wish? And I guess like the importance of like, you would want to protect that. You would want to say, you wouldn't want to lose that, even if it wasn't real. Seems like the thrust. And so again, I think RTD has the broad strokes of what he wants to do in a third season overall. And somehow Poppy is going to represent like the rebirth of Time Lords in some sense. I don't know if they're going to do some weird bootstrap paradox, because I was thinking maybe Poppy is a baby who does like the Lost Child Doctor, and eventually she regenerates and eventually turns out to be Susan. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. I'm just saying something like it could go back around. Like, see, because we don't know actually why Poppy is so special now, other than the sentiment of the Doctor and Belinda. But I suspect RTD has more up his sleeve on that. So somehow this is going to save the Time Lords. So again,
They could have gone down that road, but they didn't.
They haven't yet.
It feels like the Belinda Poppy story is over.
I don't know about Belinda, but I don't think Poppy is over. I don't think Susan's over, and I don't think the Ronnie's over.
Well, you said I don't know about Belinda, but Belinda is her mother.
I know that, but she's almost like a surrogate as well.
She's not a surrogate.
In a way, because she's not truly. Again, Poppy wasn't born of natural means.
Yes, she was.
Explain that.
At the end of this, she.
Oh, was. You're right about that. I forgot about that, but that doesn't really change anything, because as weird as it was to change it, like, Belinda and Richie are like the dad and the mom, that doesn't necessarily mean anything, as we have already seen by the way things have gone.
I think we've seen the last of both of them.
Maybe the parents. I don't think Poppy.
They could listen. They could have taken that road. They decided not to at the end of this.
Again, I really don't think we're done with this, and Ruby's future. We're not done with this. I really, if we are, and it's something completely different, I'm not going to be upset at all, but I would be surprised.
I think they had to switch everything up. I don't think they had to switch everything up. And you know what? The end of this, it wasn't Belinda. There's actually a picture out there of Belinda and the Doctor like dancing at a nightclub, which was the original ending.
No, I get that the story itself was very reworked, especially the ending and yada yada. I get that part, but I don't think RTD's overall game plan is going to change. regardless of that.
All right, so I'll make a bet with you. I think Poppy is Gonzo. I think that
Okay, I
both
think
Belinda and Poppy, they might have been something in an original plan, but I think that plan had to change because Shudi's leaving.
no, I don't think so. For the reasons I already stated, but also in addition to those reasons, I feel like RTD, because he's been so doing himself again. That sounds weird. Like he's been the same RTD as he was the first time. I think he's going to do like what he did last time. So whatever he thinks his run is this time, in total 3 seasons, 4 seasons, I think he's going to do like he did the previous time and frequently bring back characters as much as he can until his time is done. So
Eric, the reason I disagree with you is that if we were starting another season and it was shooting right now, then I would agree with you. But since it's going to be 2 years down the road,
I agree.
or 3 years down the road before we see another Doctor Who,
no,
I don't.
things certainly could change.
I don't see any of these actors back.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's right.
I mean, maybe Kate. Maybe you might have Kate back. Maybe you might have Ruth back, or whatever her name is. Ruth Madley is the name of the Shirley. You might have her back, but nobody else will be back.
I think Miss Flood will be back for sure.
Nope. I don't think so.
I think she'll no.
Okay, now look. Okay, if we want to speak on realities terms for a second, like real world, certainly if it begins shooting 2-3 years from now, certainly a lot of what you just said I could see being true, like these actors and actresses not reprising their roles, etc. But even versus if they started shooting tomorrow, then they obviously probably would stay intact. I'll give you that. But I still think RTD is going to, like, if he has to make those changes because those people are no longer available or whatever, yes, he'll retool everything, but I think he's still going to try to get to the same final destination that he's been trying to get to since he started this on Disney.
I disagree. I think he had to throw in the towel because he didn't know what was going to happen with season 3.
That's fine.
And like, I think he's going to start everything back up again with a new whatever arc, and everything that's occurred in the last 2 years. The story is complete.
Like I said, I wouldn't be upset if that's what ends up happening in the future, but I would be surprised. So, whatever. It's my speculation against yours, but that's just what I think about that. And again, so the theme was under oppressive culture, traditional culture, then people on the margins can't live full lives. But you see, again, this is what I think he's trying to say, which hasn't been completed yet. But you see, these people who lived outside the norms were able to have a child or progeny of sorts, and eventually we'll learn that that's an incredibly important person, whether it's Susan or the doctor, or it's not the doctor, but whoever it is. And I think that's what he's trying to say. The moral of the story will be eventually. And okay, it's weird. Like if that's what it is, because even if it's not that, it's something, and it's a weird way to express it. The first time I watched it, I didn't think about or note. Well, I wasn't that engaged, but the first time I watched it, I didn't realize how heavy that message was about the marginalized people. Very clear to me upon rewatch. And okay, I see what you're saying. He obviously hasn't concluded this idea. Whether he does or not, we'll find out one day. But it just, so the things you guys brought up are all completely there and legitimate. Those didn't affect me so much, but it's me thinking about this stuff, whether he pulls it off or addresses it or not. I'm like, okay, if that's what you're trying to say, fine. But it's not moving the needle for me. And it's not because I'm not down with the cause or something. That's not it at all, because any writer can write anything they want to flesh out an idea. And I don't have to agree with it. I could think of a popular example recently, but I won't get into it for spoiler reasons. But a certain Star Wars show if you just a new recent one, if you distill it down to its essence in the way I did this, it's not something I would be on board with in the real world. But in this sci-fi fantasy world where, it's a big allegory, then yeah, I like that other thing on Disney at the moment. But this, it's not about me agreeing or disagreeing with an agenda. It's just it's just a weird overall message, because if that's all it is, then this is not satisfactory. like to spend 2 seasons potentially plus, like I don't see this ending up in the black as opposed to the red, like in a tally at the end of the day. Because again, I don't think it's over completely, this line, but if and when it does, it's a massive question mark in general. So I'm not upset with this season or this finale as much as I'm just bemused at this point. And that's it. I didn't vociferously hate it, although I really, really, really disliked the first episode, and I really disliked watching the first episode. The second one, I was more my calm, neutral self. And so I'm okay with that. But I didn't love it. I didn't hate it, except for the first part. I kind of hate that a little bit, but overall, I don't hate it.
All right, everybody. Well, that's been fun.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. I mean, other than the fact I think that he did have plans. I agree with you. I think he had plans. I think he had plans for at least 3 seasons of Gatwa.
Yeah.
And I think that he possibly could have sowed some seeds in this story that would have paid off later. I just think that he literally had no choice. He had to close it down, and it's unfortunate, but actors work, and if they're not working, they have to find something new at this point. And so does, by the way, the production team. Production team has to go find something else to do. So, by having this delay and stuff like that, it's gonna rip through, the production team. It's gonna rip through the actors. It's gonna rip through all of them, and they're gonna have to literally start over in a few years. And we'll be lucky, actually, if it starts in 3 years. I mean, when I say starts, I mean we see another new episode. We'll be very lucky to see one in 27 or 28 at this point. And if that's the case, then you are looking right now at a show that's really going on hiatus and will not be back for a while. And therefore, you might even have a completely new production team. It's not to say, I mean, I know RTD wants to continue, but he's working on something else now too. He's working on another show. So, I think that this is done. I think what he did was he set himself up for a story he has yet to write, which is, why Rose is there, or Billie Piper is the 16th Doctor. Likely not. Certainly she wouldn't take a contract right now knowing that they're not going to film for some time. I mean, she's truly just there for the cameo at this point, and we'll have to see what happens.
Unless we have like a whole episode or special or something with Rose as the Doctor, please don't do that. Don't do it.
You know what? I mean, they'd still have to go write that, right? And they'd still have to plan it, and they'd still have to budget that. There is no budget. There is no, unless Disney decides to re-up. If Disney decides to re-up, they could do something, but it's highly unlikely Disney will.
Do you guys know what was the timeline on this? Like, when did they find out that Gatwa was leaving?
Yeah, that's a good question, and it certainly was. I think it happened well after this was filmed.
Okay,
right. So it was done well after this was filmed. I know that they did reshoots as late as like 4 or 5 weeks ago.
Wow. Okay.
I think Billy, my theory, Sean, is that they did a whole thing about the 20 years of New Who. I think Billy came back for that, and Russell just basically said, "Can you go in front of this green screen for me?" I literally think that was the case, that they had originally not had the regeneration, and then once they knew of the regeneration, they were just going to have it fade to black while he was regenerating, and they figured out at the last moment they wanted Billy to stand in.
Yeah, I'm wondering, like, if Gatwa regenerated. Wait, he wasn't going to regenerate at the end of the episode. When they found out he was leaving, they had to bring her. Okay. I guess what I'm thinking is if he regenerated into, some random person, would that be better?
No, because what they would have done is they just would have faded to black upon his regeneration. Like, while the regeneration energy had made his face disappear, they just would have faded to black. And it
I'm sorry, you just explained that. A stupid question. Right. Sorry.
No. It's a fair question. And that's why I think, like, they literally had to make this change really quickly because Gatwa said he's not going to wait around. And he's been threatening to leave for a while. Right? I mean, I don't think he enjoyed his experience as much as he said he did. I don't think he enjoyed this at all. I think.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I don't think he enjoyed it either.
I mean, he said similar things to what Christopher Eccleston said after that first season, which is, it was very, very difficult. It was draining. It was this. It was that. He was saying similar stuff to that. And I just don't think he enjoyed it. And I don't think I look, there's been a lot around this show, and there's been a very vociferous community that has spoken up against this and has pointed out at every turn the amount of people who are watching it, which is much lower than it used to be. Mm-hmm. I hate it when they compared it to 2006, because you really can't compare 2025 to 2006 ever. Like, you just can't. Like, there weren't any options in 2006.
Right.
There's plenty of options today that didn't exist back then. So when you get 5 million viewers on, like, terrestrial TV, that's damn good. That's really, really good. But they were under 2 million. It wasn't appointment TV anymore. They were either watching on iPlayer. If they weren't watching on iPlayer, they certainly weren't watching day and date, because it was under 2 million viewers, which is the lowest it's ever been. Now, in today's world, like, if you got 3 million viewers overnight or 4 million viewers overnight, that means it's a hit. Okay? I mean, even like whatever Strictly Come Dancing, or whatever the name of that one is, or any of their reality shows, they usually get like 5 or 6 million, and you almost have to watch that. They're like sporting events, right? Mm-hmm. So you have to watch that day and date. Doctor Who, you don't have to do that. But it was getting 1.8 million and stuff like that, like just really ugly kind of numbers. And we don't know what the Disney Plus numbers were, but they've clearly lost viewership, and I think Disney has had enough.
Yeah, they're kind of the redheaded stepchild now. And somebody on another podcast, I think it was it has to be Doctor Who Gives a Fuck, because I don't listen to any Doctor Who podcasts anymore, but pointed out that the show is now buried. Although I have to admit, when I went to go look for it, it was right there on the top. But Disney Plus has buried the show underneath all the other Star Wars and Marvel shit and all that. I don't think anybody ever had any idea that it would replace Star Wars or Marvel for Disney, but
no, not replace, but just, become part of their portfolio and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that. I think they had higher hopes that it would do that, and it didn't. It didn't at all. It was much worse than they expected.
I suspect the Disney relationship is over, but not necessarily because of the low numbers, although that doesn't help at all. It's certainly part of it, but I think it would have been over even if the numbers were modestly better or not as bad as they are now. Just because for people watching this stuff, I mean, what's been going on at Disney, they have really started to retool all their things on the streaming service since the election, to be honest. I mean, that's when you started to see changes, not with Doctor Who Disney, but with other things Disney, especially Star Wars and MCU and blah, blah, blah.
You know what? Like, here's the other thing. Like, I had heard that Ncuti Gatwa was supposed to be some type of spokesperson for Eurovision,
Right.
Yes.
and he bowed out apparently
Right.
because Israel was there. I think that doesn't play well with American companies, that stuff. And it is just possible that he was let go. And there was some discussion of him getting let go in all of
Yes.
this.
It was the Daily Mail.
I'm not sure that that's the case, but it is a possibility that they let him go. And if that's the case, then that happened really late in the game.
Regardless of the truth behind that speculation, either way, whether he was technically fired or not, either way, it was probably a mutual situation. So, it doesn't hardly matter.
No, I agree with you, Eric. I mean, I think at the end of the day, I think he was done. And I think he had way too many offers in Hollywood and stuff like that. I can't believe that, but it's probably true.
Hey, the guy, he was in the Barbie movie.
Whatever.
I know that is remember when that movie came out, it was a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, it was a big deal. And you know what? They would love him in Hollywood. I mean, he fits everything that they love.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I like him too. I mean, in general, not necessarily anything to do with Doctor Who. I like him,
Listen, I got to tell you something. Like, from my perspective, like, you take the sort of overt, I don't want to say gay stuff, but gay stuff out, and you just sort of make him into the Doctor. He wasn't terrible. He was pretty good. Like, I thought Jodie was never the Doctor. Until this episode, when I found she was a very good Doctor in this episode. I'm now going to blame the writing on with Chibnall and say that if she had RTD, she would have been a much better Doctor. But like, I never I did begin to picture him as the Doctor. I really did. So like, that worked for me, and he was good. I mean, he was decent. Like, he's a pretty good actor. I don't think he's the best actor to ever have a role, but he's a pretty good actor, and like, it was okay. I would have been very happy to see a third season with him. Very happy to see a third season.
Yeah. I certainly would have enjoyed more with Ncuti to see where it could go. I just want to say it to make it official, because you guys have talked about it, and I just haven't said anything yet on it. But the Jodie Whittaker thing, I too. I never enjoyed her so much on screen as the Doctor. I loved it.
Seriously, it's so weird. She was there for like 2 minutes, but for me, it was like, oh wow, if you could have been this Doctor, like, I might have actually, other than the stupid Yaz comment, I just let that flow over my head.
Yeah, but I like the Jazz comment, not because I like that.
Jazz comment?
Sorry, Yaz. Well, I like your comment, and I like Yaz comment in the sense that, not because I'm invested in that storyline or anything, but it helped make it clear to me, what RTD is doing and what he's trying to. Again, everything's been about the marginalized groups, whoever they happen to be, since he came back.
Yeah, he's been totally on the marginalized groups.
So it's on brand.
Intersectionality is huge in Doctor Who right now.
Yes. But in a different way. I finally sense that very clearly now compared to at the beginning of this season.
God, I sense it all along.
But it was different until, Anyway, Jodie, I really enjoyed it. And it was kind of like Time Crash, that segment. And I really enjoy Time Crash, obviously. I still do. And aside from it being better written and better acted than we'd seen her before, even putting that aside, I enjoyed the moment I had watching it and reflecting on, Jodie, you could have been great. And I wish it's weird because of the Wish theme.
Mm-hmm.
I wish we were in another world where so many people didn't dislike your Doctor and the portrayal. But again, I don't think it's because it's a bigoted world at all.
No.
It is really the writing and everything else.
100%.
And that's a shame to me, that it's all kind of because of that.
So we get to hear her in Big Finish now. She's doing Big Finish.
Well, there you go. And
seriously, she's doing a Big Finish with Mandeep Gill.
I don't doubt this at all. But yeah, There was just one or two things I wanted to touch on as a group before we kind of rate this and close it out. But all the drama and everything else aside, like behind the scenes stuff that we've been talking about and reshooting and Ncuti has to leave, how would you kind of describe your own personal feelings on Ncuti's tenure as 2 seasons? Like middling, nice at least to see something different. I don't know. What would you guys say? Just speaking about Ncuti's era as a whole, like where do you stand on it now?
Not the best, but definitely above average for the most part, with the possible exception of this being this story here. I've really enjoyed it for the most part, and I just feel like this story makes it feel negligent. You know what I mean? Like something went wrong here that this story was produced, and probably they should have just done something else, but it was too late.
They had planned something else. That's the thing, and that something else probably was better.
Yeah.
Like way better than this.
And Josh, your overall feelings over the Ncuti era?
I mean, it was again better than the years with Jody by far.
Yeah.
Like, and you know what? As much as I give RTD a lot of shit for like, taking us in this progressive direction, the fact of the matter is, his writing is like a million times better than Chibnall's. Like, go back and watch a few Chibnall episodes. I mean, the fact of the matter is, the writing's better and the actor's better. I think until I saw Jodie just 5 minutes ago, I used to just think that she wasn't that great of an actor, and now I know that it was the writing. Like the writing really made it bad. So it was okay. Like, I mean, it was okay. I mean, it's good. It's okay, Doctor Who. I've seen worse.
We've discussed it before this season, but certainly RTD's strength is when two characters or more are speaking to each other and like really laying out their positions and interacting in the interplay between them. That's always been his strong suit his entire run, I think, that I've seen on Doctor Who. The part that gets wonky in multiple episodes for me, since Tennant returned or since Ncuti's been the Doctor, is when it comes to the actual plotting and execution of the stories, dialogue aside, it's like he has this weird pseudo mini Moffat in his brain, like coming up with these plots, and it's just weird, the combination. I really think there's like a two-headed monster executive producing the series, even if not literally, spiritually, a Moff TD has been running this whole thing since the return, and it's not a happy marriage of ideas, and it's weird. It's not as off-putting as the previous run with Chibnall, obviously, but that has not coalesced. Whether I like individual episodes or not, that didn't coalesce.
Yeah, here's the thing, Eric. I'll say this about that. RTD has this amazing ability to have a really good idea for a start, but when his ends...
Well, Moffat had that too.
His ends don't work. Like, they just... It feels like he paints himself into a corner.
Well, that's the Moffat talking, I feel like.
That's Moffat's.
I mean, true, maybe, but I think it's even worse with RTD. Like, I just think he paints himself into such a corner that he has to do his ex machina everything.
Well, yeah, that's another thing, another crutch of his.
But I mean, like, I just think...
But I can excuse it if everything else works. I can excuse the Deus Ex Machina.
He's what you would call a starter, not a finisher.
Right.
Right. So he's a shower, not a grower.
Yeah, he's basically like, like somebody else has to write the ends of his ideas.
And my overall biggest lament as it pertains to Doctor Who also pertains to kind of all modern television. I've been saying this a lot on another podcast, Novice Elitists, when discussing other shows and movies. And sometimes I'm saying it offline with the Novice Elitist crew, which is what I've kind of learned about my own proclivities and this media that I like and don't like, especially since everything that's come out since the start of the COVID era, so to speak. Everything across the board, movies and television. The thing I've really sussed out that's become clear to me is regardless of your agenda or point of view as a writer or creative team, regardless of your politics, whatever the message is, whether I agree or disagree with it, I like, and especially science fiction in general, and fiction, but especially science fiction and fantasy, I like when your message is subtle and it creeps on the reader or the viewer. And then when it becomes clear, it was like a well-written mystery. Like, oh, the clues were there all the time. And this makes logical sense. And the writer didn't cheat, to get their point across. Like, I discovered that's the most important thing I consider when enjoying something since the COVID years, regardless of what it is, what universe it takes place in or anything. What I really don't like, as I've learned through the same time period, is whatever the agenda, I don't care if it's right-leaning, centrist-leaning, whatever it is, if it's just too on the nose...
Yeah.
Kill the moon.
I can't with it. Whatever the movie is, whatever the thing is, like, I don't care if I agree with it.
Yeah, you're not allowed to think anymore.
It still makes me feel dirty, even if I agree with it. I'll be like, why is it executed like this?
They don't write things so you'll think about it anymore. They write things that are right in your face.
And so that's the real reason I lament this era. With the Chibnall era, it was very easy to point to what felt like was lacking. But with this, it feels more regrettable because it's not a talent issue. I'm talking about writing and whatnot. It's not necessarily a talent issue, but it's just, what are you doing with your talent?
It's what you were saying before about them, or maybe it was Sean talking about the message, or it was you that talked about the message.
It's not about the message, but, and again, I don't have to agree with it, but why? Yes, it's
so in your face. It's so in your face. There's nothing to leave for you to figure out for yourself.
And it's not because it's, highlighting marginalized groups or anything like that. No, you can do that all day. But make me go, oh, like make the light bulb go off in my head and oh, you really made a good point about marginalized people and how important they are.
It's giving your audience credit for being smart enough to get it, okay? And by the way, that's what Classic Who did a lot.
Yes,
during the Barry Letts era.
And especially, and I was thinking about, this is sort of a segue to the next thing I wanted to say about this, because I kept trying to think, what made classic Doctor Who look good when they obviously didn't have HD and CGI and amazing special effects or budget, et cetera, et cetera. It's because it wasn't about the sets or I know I sound like I'm saying something that's been said 1,000 times, but just bear with me. It's because, at least in your imagination, you could see what they were like. Many people, especially classic fans, speak so much about the Sunmakers, for instance. Now, I saw that when I was middle school age, and I was just like, wow, okay, it's another hokey episode of classic Doctor Who. I don't hate it, but I also definitely don't get it. Like, the message in the Sunmakers. Absolutely over my head as a middle schooler. But I became an adult. I listened to more knowledgeable Doctor Who fans than me. And as an adult, I went, oh, wow, okay, there's something to think about with this episode. Yes. And I really appreciate it much more as an adult. But again, it's not because of the visuals or the acting or the casting or anything like that. It's just like, oh, there's something to think about.
Yeah, what's missing, Eric, is being clever.
Yes, in a writing way. Yes.
Being clever is missing. And that's what I completely agree with you. That's what annoys me the most, is that it has either run out of the ability to be clever, or RTD is so partisan that he has to stuff it down at your throat in order for you to appreciate it. And if you have any brain at all, or you want the show to make you think, which is something that Star Trek The Next Generation did a lot.
Well, yeah.
This is what like the classic kind of science fiction that used to be back in the day is, we're going to take something that's happening in the far future, and what we're going to do is we're going to have you think about how it affects you today.
Well, I'm glad Carl is here in spirit now on the podcast.
No, but I use that
seriously.
As an example, but
No, I know what you're saying.
Because it's a lot more ubiquitous than than old classic Who that not many people even watch anymore.
If Carl was here, we've kind of discussed this, I think, on RBG and on Novice Elitists, with and without Carl, which is this. What you're getting to is the core of what made sci-fi so incredibly interesting, especially in the last century. Whether it was in print or on television or film, it was always that was really the point a lot of times. And then same thing with the fantasy genre after Tolkien, was like to really make you think. And that's always been the bread and butter. And that's what always made all the classics in any era of sci-fi on television.
And now it's lazy. It's just kind of in your
face. It is. And it's not just Doctor Who. There's so many examples with the popular stuff like MCU and
you can't even. Yeah, just bring up anything that's contemporary. Anything that's contemporary.
Again, the message is whatever the message is. It's super in your face usually. But even this reminds me of, because I'm trying to think of modern examples like in the last 20 years that maybe did it well. If you read Harry Potter, especially, the films are good, but especially if you read it, even though it's a story we've heard before in a general sense, it's really fleshed out and it really makes you think a lot about a lot of other things.
It might be the last that ever put that in the forefront, like actual thinking that takes place.
If you read the whole entire series, you will find, because a lot of people who have read Harry Potter have only read like the first 2 books or so, you won't get it from the first 2 books. But if you read all the books, there's a lot more going on than witches and wizards and magic spells, and there's so much more that appeals to the adult brain, especially. And that was Harry Potter. It's very fleshed out. If you read the whole thing, there's a lot more to it than some messianic hero. There is that. There's a whole lot more besides that. A lot of it is really a criticism of just the modern world in general. Again, difficult to get that from the movies, but certainly in the books.
Dude, even like Game of Thrones.
Yes.
Even Game of Thrones falls into that category of like, making you think. Like
until it got bad when it stopped making you think.
Exactly. It got bad when it was in your face.
Yeah, why it got really bad in the last couple of seasons was because it started to insult and berate you for thinking.
Yes, exactly.
At that point.
Oh, yes. And you know what? Doctor Who's been doing that for years now.
Yeah, okay. And then so I was thinking, okay, Harry Potter is a good example in print form. But I also dabbled in other things like Twilight and the Divergent series and Maze Runner. Even in the print form, I dabbled. And those can be entertaining popcorn stories. But the reason they're not as elevated as Harry Potter, even if we're just talking about the books, forget about the films for a second, it's because whatever the message is in those derivative young adult series, it's always very clear. Like, this is what this represents. This is what that represents. It's, you don't have to do any work in your own head and your own imagination. And so, that's what I've learned since the COVID years.
It's been literally, I wouldn't even say the COVID years. I'd say it's been probably a decade or
it has been longer. Yeah, you're right.
It's just had anything that actually, kind of makes your brain go.
You are correct.
Spoon-fed to you, and there is no thinking involved. And maybe this is why I don't watch it more than once anymore. I just figured that out. That's why I don't watch it more than once. I don't need to.
Yes, this started before the COVID era. I'm just marking that time is because that's when it really came into focus for me, was during this period.
Like, we're all stupid now. Like, we all have to be... Everything has to be shoved into our face in order for us to understand it. It's like they're just not giving anybody credit.
They literally make TV shows and movies so that people who are looking at their phones can split their attention between their phone and the television screen. It really does
feel that way. It really does feel that way. And this is not Doctor Who or Disney. This is like across the board in general.
Yeah.
Or has been. Just last final thing I want to say on this big topic, as it's been coalescing in my mind, and
like Mad Men and like Breaking Bad. Think about that, guys. That's only 15 years ago.
I know. You don't have to remind me.
What I mean?
I bring up those examples all the time.
Those are like perfect examples, like Twin Peaks to a large extent.
Okay, so the last thing I want to say on this subject, which is in the same vein as what you're talking about right now, and I mentioned this a little while ago, I think the biggest thing RTD has suffered from during this tenure in his style and whatever is what happened to George Lucas when he made the prequel movies, starting in 99 through 2005, which is he was the same Lucas, just like RTD is the same RTD. It's just like the Emperor in Star Wars. He finally attained unlimited power, so to speak. Crazy budget, crazy access to special effects, crazy access to massive creative teams, a lot of talented people. But the gutters he used to have of the gutter rails, he used to have of, technology just can't do that. We have money, but we don't have unlimited money. Those things kept him in check. I brought this up so many times on other podcasts talking about other things. And I think that's the main reason this overall endeavor has suffered and not been as good as it can be. And then just to put a button on it, the last episode I saw in my New Who rewatch was Waters of Mars. I just saw it like 3 days ago or something. Waters of Mars, I know a lot of people have always really liked it. Since it aired, it was just kind of middle of the road. Like, I liked the tone of it, but it didn't really connect with me back in the day. I watched it about 3 days ago, and I thought it was incredibly good. It was incredibly good.
Yeah, because you haven't seen that kind of level.
Yes. And yeah, I'm getting to my point, and again, I'm putting a button on this whole topic, which is, I was like, why is this so good? Like, okay, it is proper scary, as they say, and like the whole tone and ambiance, that was art. I kind of knew that before, that stuff was high marks. But then, like, thinking about Adelaide and this whole thing, and I don't know if Sean remembers, maybe Josh remembers, but there was this whole thing about how the Doctor thought he became Time Lord victorious.
Yep.
And he thought, you know what, this time, I don't care if it's a fixed point. I can do whatever I want. And the big, spoiler at the very end, was when Adelaide decides to take her own life because she realizes it's more important for her not to be in the world than to be in the world. And then the Doctor, it hit me so much more this time watching it like 3 days ago.
They'd never do Waters of Mars today.
And I was
never
like,
in a million years with you.
And why is it good besides the message in that episode? It's good because while they had a budget, true, but it's mostly shot on location. I'm assuming in some type of botanical gardens or something like that. There's no.
I think it was studio, man.
There are special effects. No, sometimes they look like they're in a real like laboratory or something. But yes, there are effects for the planet of Mars and the robot racing. Yeah, but that was like the typical on the cheap effects of old BBC, old Doctor Who. So it's not like they spent extravagantly. So it was relatively modest on budget, but the lighting, the acting, the writing, that's what really made that, the art design execution, and then the writing and the acting and the message in that one, because that was a message that regardless of who you were, you could connect to that message. Like, it's bad when someone becomes all powerful, even if they're a good soul.
And it's in your face. And by the way, Phil Ford wrote that.
That's right.
And you're right. I mean, we don't see that writing today at all.
And it's not just because it's been so long since that aired, and I was like, oh my gosh. But again, like what happened with the Chibnall era, my new normal has been set to RTD Who, where I'm just like, this is like baseline. Things can be better or worse. That's been my new baseline since RTD returned. So then to see Waters of Mars was like, whoa. And I'm not even saying that's one of my favorite episodes now. Not at all. But it was very enjoyable. Extremely enjoyable. So
yeah, because it didn't insult your intelligence.
Not at all.
And that's the thing. Like, that's
but they don't have the button. And I remarked, especially in Interstellar Space Song or whatever it was called, and even in this, even though I didn't like the idea of being on the air jet ski for the Ronnie or the Doctor, I remember looking at it though on Disney Plus in 4K, and like Interstellar Love Song, I just want to call it because I remember that song from high school. I was just like, yeah, this actually does look good. It's all ridiculous what I'm looking at, and I wouldn't have done it even if I had those powers of direction and special effects. But yeah, it did look good. But that's what I've been trying to say since the beginning of this rant is Doctor Who has never been or is or will be good because of the visuals, regardless of how good you make them.
And that's what this was. These 2 years, they were great because of the visuals.
It does look good, and I'm shocked.
And
it's
you know
Doctor
what?
Who.
Like since I cut my teeth on Classic Who, like I don't give a fuck about special effects at all.
Yeah.
I don't give a rat's ass about that. That means nothing to me. Like I don't watch a movie and say, "Wow, the special effects were great." I don't even care. Like that stuff doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah, on one hand, I'm shocked it's Doctor Who, but on the other hand, it's not what I need in Doctor Who at all.
Yeah. So let's put a finer point on this because we've been talking for an hour and a half, believe it or not. You know, I do think there's a future for the show. I would love it if they would rest it. I think it's time for it to take a break for a couple of years, if not a few years, even a half a decade or more. There needs to be new blood in this show, and there needs to be a new showrunner, a new approach, and somebody who maybe appreciated the 2005 version, who can sort of bring back what they loved about it. And yeah, I think RTD has had his time twice at this point, and like my preference is that it moves on, and you know let's be done with this. It's been 20 years, fantastic. It lasted a long time. Just let it rest for a while. It needs the time. It really does. And I mean, I would much prefer it if they didn't do anything for a while.
Yeah, I'm fine with the wait. And I agree with you for those reasons, but I'm also fine either way. Even if Doctor Who was pumping on all cylinders, I'd still be fine with the wait. But I agree with everything you just said. I'm going to speak to a segment of our audience, especially if you've heard me on other podcasts. Isaac would enjoy hearing this, except he won't listen to this episode because he's new Who adverse at this time. But you know, I've said this multiple times on Novice, Elitists, etc. Other big IPs have had, you know, their dark times, wilderness years, as Doctor Who did, and what got them out of it. Like, let's just take the easy examples in sci-fi, Star Wars and Star Trek. In 82, 81, you know, Roddenberry had been the guy, obviously, since the inception of that series, of that IP, and they lost a lot of money with the first motion picture, even though it's an amazing movie. They lost a lot of money, and so they brought in someone who like knew of Star Trek but wasn't like diehard fan, like a Moffat RTD type person. They brought someone who just knew how to make good things. And I'm not saying J.J. Abrams, like, don't get it twisted, because that's not what I'm talking about, whether it's Star Trek or Star Wars. Because I don't want to get in that conversation. I'll distract from the message now. So they brought in someone who just knew how to make good things and then plugged that person to Star Trek. And that's how you got what many consider the greatest Star Trek movie of all. And it led to like the beginning of the restart. It was like the Little Mermaid animated film, like reviving animated Disney. That's what Nicholas Myers, you know, working with Star Trek, who wasn't a hardcore Star Trek guy, he like brought back the series, the IP, which eventually led to TNG, etc. We get how the story goes. And in Star Wars more recently, you know, things have been pretty lost for the same reasons we've been discussing Doctor Who. And they brought in someone like a Nicholas Myers, who happened to be Tony Gilroy, and he wasn't a Star Wars guy, but he just knew how to make really interesting stories that make you think. And they just plugged him in, and even though he wasn't a diehard lifelong fan, in my opinion, it's very similar to what Nicholas Meyer did for Star Trek. J.J. Abrams is different, and he'll get you the money, but it won't right the ship in the long term. That's it. So you need to find someone who obviously knows what Doctor Who is, but they don't. I would like to see someone who's not dyed in the wool just to see what happens. Again, it can't be someone who wants to completely make it their own thing, because obviously that wouldn't work. But someone who knows how to write, who will respect the material, whether it's new and old, classic, I don't mind. But that seems to be, to me, the only formula that's ever seemed to work with these long time big franchises that are like strung out. I would just like to see what could happen if someone did something like that.
Okay.
All right, closing out the show.
All right, do you guys want to rate each episode separately or as a combined? I can go either way. It doesn't matter.
I do it as combined.
Yeah, combined.
Okay, combined rating. What is our unit of measure going to be?
It's going to be magic doors.
Okay.
Isn't that perfect? Isn't it great that they just said, "Oh, he had a magic door." Oh, of course.
He had a magic door.
Yeah, we're not going to explain anymore. It's
Yeah.
magic door.
Yeah, magic door. So we're going to go do magic doors. Sean, how many magic doors do you give these two?
Are we allowed to give? I'm not going to be that mean. I'll give it half a magic door.
Wow.
We'll never watch this again. Maybe I'll watch it like it, I'll get it on Blu-ray and watch it then or something. But there's not much in here to enjoy. I really didn't enjoy it. I kept looking at my watch. There was nothing suspenseful here. It felt there's conflict, but it's like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, you're all going to be destroyed by Omega? Oh, there he is. Yeah, I don't really care. I don't care. Oh, she's planning on killing everyone. The Ronnie's planning on killing. I don't care.
Yeah.
There's other weird things, like when the both Ronnies, which, by the way, that fucking, don't ever do this by regeneration again. Please don't ever touch that again, people. I don't want to say it again. But I wish it would just have been her and not the two of them. But she does this thing when they're on the balcony overlooking the city, and she unscrews the screws holding the balcony to the Bone Palace, or whatever the fuck you call that thing. So she knows that in the near future there's going to be a conflict in which the Doctor is stuck outside on the balcony.
Yeah, exactly. Well, she shoves him out there. Whatever, it doesn't matter. I agree with you.
How deep is this plan? I still don't. Why is she in the Bone Palace? What are the giant dragon bone dinosaurs for? It's just a bunch of. I'm going to quote somebody. This is a common saying, but somebody on a podcast said this about Angels in Manhattan once, and it was all style, no substance.
Yep.
It's especially true with this. When we hang up after this call, I'm never going to think about this again.
Yeah, probably the best thing. Probably the best thing to do.
I want my hour and a half back or whatever it is, and then maybe we'll talk. But yeah, I do concede with y'all though that I may watch it again if it comes on in 2 years. I'm not going to be able to resist it.
Yeah, I might watch it again just for the end.
Yeah, I'll be like a mermaid. It's a mermaid. She can't resist us.
She can't resist us.
Yeah, because you're
Devil's reference with what's his face. What's his name? What's his name?
I don't know the actor.
It was
but
the guy who played Till in Androids of Tara.
This is the most stumped I've ever heard.
Declan.
Declan.
And like you ever hear like Tom Baker talk about him? He's like, Declan. What a great guy. I'm gonna give it 1.
I was thinking of the other guy who reminds me of the actor Maury Shaken, but I'm sorry, 1. Okay, all right.
One magic door that I'd like to just go through and never have to deal with it again. I'm with Sean. You know what? I got bored in the last 30 minutes. Like, literally, I was looking at my watch. I feel like I had to watch this and stuff like that. Like, that's how it felt. I don't like that with Doctor Who. If I feel like I have to watch it and I have to get through it. And the other thing I've realized is that if I didn't have any connection with the show prior, I never would have watched this.
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't have watched it either.
Oh,
there's no doubt about that.
Like, this would never have been anything I would have been interested in.
Never.
But anyway, so Eric, how many magic doors do you give this?
So, I definitely don't dislike it as much as you guys do, but I was a little bit kind, I believe, in my last rating on this podcast. So I feel like I've used up my being kind because I'm torn between two scores, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to give it kindness or take it away. I'm taking it away. Therefore, instead of a 3 magic doors, I'm giving it 2.5 magic doors. I really was engaged. I'm not saying it paid off, but I was engaged for approximately the last 30 minutes of these 2 episodes. And yeah, I already said what I wanted to say, about the state of things. So I wasn't as turned off as you guys. Of course, I'm going to watch next new Doctor Who whenever it comes out, whoever makes it. I'm not going to be up at night, like, opining or wringing my hands over this. It is what it is. Yeah, oh well. And there was one last thing I wanted to say, and
You wanted to say closing out the show today.
oh gosh, I forgot. There was one little thing I want to leave with, but it'll all be okay. Oh, I was just gonna say that. Yeah, I could tell. I mean, even when I was watching it by myself, but especially when I watched it with Sean earlier, I could tell this was everything he doesn't care about in New Who. Very clearly. But that's fine. That's fine. So, until you hear us again, chances are on this feed it'll be a commentary. Probably a commentary on Rose. So, until then, closing out the show today, this is Eric.
This is Josh.
And this is John.
And until next time,
unless you can find a magic door to get you out of a bad situation where you're falling to Earth,
don't panic.
Poppy, 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 Poppy. Where's Poppy? Is Poppy here? Poppy's there. Where's Poppy?
Oh, you reminded me of something else
Poppy,
unrelated
Poppy,
to Doctor
Poppy,
Who.
Poppy, Poppy, Poppy. Do you know how many times they said Poppy in this episode?
I don't know.
It's 58 times.
Hmm.
They said Poppy more than they said Doctor.
58 probably means something.